My goal for today is to engender confidence for you, to have any kind of tough conversation successfully. Today I hope to reduce your anxiety a little bit, to talk to you about how important it is to prepare skillfully, and I hope that you will walk away with one good idea. Probably nothing really new, but hopefully you'll get away with one good idea that you can start using this afternoon. What I'd like to have you do is think of a difficult conversation that you have had recently or that you are facing at the moment. Doesn't matter if it's personal or professional, but just get that conversation in your mind so you're really connected with the joy of it, right? What you may not know is that the Chinese word for conflict encompasses the concepts of danger and opportunity. Now, most of us can relate to the danger part because that's why we don't like hard conversations, because usually there's a lot at stake, usually there's a risk, usually there's threat, and so the danger part is pretty obvious. The opportunity part may not seem as obvious, but when you think about those conversations that you kind of avoid, those conversations that never get done, or issues that never get settled, or people with whom you never quite feel connected, when you start to have authentic conversations that are open and truthful and comfortable, then relationships can be more connected and more authentic and more genuine, and that engenders trust, which makes the whole thing work better. So, you've heard the phrase, talk is cheap. It's easy to talk about stuff. It's quite another thing to actually take action. So it's when you care about something, when something matters to you, that you will actually take action. So paying attention to your energy is really important. We all have procrastinated at one time or another, so this is about having the energy and the willingness not to procrastinate. Skillful preparation works even better than just any old preparation. So if you ever play a sport like tennis or golf or anything, you know that it's perfect practice that makes perfect, not just any old practice. And so really kind of knowing what to do and why it matters will really help you be prepared. So, and that's where the confidence comes from, and that's where the competence comes from. You cannot have a big goal and say, well, I'm going to have a talk with my brother because I want the relationship to be great. Well, we're not talking about the relationship right now. That's down the road. You're not going to have a relationship if you don't get the specific conversation working. If it goes really badly, the whole thing may blow up, right? When you really focus on one conversation at a time, that's when you're likely to be much more successful because you're doing a small piece. So life tends to work better in little bite-sized pieces because then you're focused and you're doing one issue at a time. You probably know, especially if you have children or spouses, that you can't make other people do stuff. Right? No matter how right you think you are or how wrong they are or how much you want it, you cannot make other people do things. And so all you can do is all you can do. So one of the ways to avoid getting tangled up is to be really clear about what you actually can do. Not everybody realizes this because we get afraid to say hard things to people because we're afraid of how they'll react or how they'll feel or what will happen. But the truth of the matter is that you can say very hard things to people if three things. One, you don't surprise somebody. Now, why is that important? Let's go back to the energy piece. The nervous system is wired, hardwired, so that it protects you, right? It's sort of an early warning system for threats. Number two, only say what you know for a fact is true. So no gossiping, no assuming, no hyperbole, no exaggeration. Only say what you know is true. And the last thing is to be kind and respectful. Now, if you are hurt or angry or furious or terrified, you may not be ready to have that hard conversation. Because if you cannot treat somebody with kindness and respect, then they will feel it, right? Your nervous system and their nervous system will communicate, and they will feel either your hostility or they will be defensive, and they will feel it. If you're not ready, if you're not really ready to have a constructive conversation, don't do it till you get ready, because it won't work, and then it'll just be a mess. So if you don't really understand the situation, if you don't really understand why the person you're talking to is upset or angry or confused or hurt or whatever they are, if you can't stand in their shoes and see things from their point of view, then you're not going to have a very constructive conversation, because they won't feel respected, they won't feel regarded, they won't feel heard, and then you won't be inclined to be trusted. So the conversation's not likely to go well. Finally, stick to the objective facts. Don't, in this in this thinking process, you want to stick to what's true. Listening is key. We could talk for a whole week about listening, but suffice to say that listening and or being heard with 100% attention is so powerful. And those of you who know Maslow know that that prospect of being known or seen or heard is almost as important as air. And so that is really, really a powerful thing. So when you get that, think of the people in your life who give that to you. Those kind of people are like gold. And the reverse is true. When you get that from somebody, it's very, very powerful. So if you're in a difficult conversation, it's one of the best ways to establish trust. Because communication is really a circle, right? The speaker says something. The only way you know whether you're understood is if it comes back in somebody's own words, and then you let the person know, got it, by nodding and telling them. So when you really pay attention to that and know that and are committed to understanding, it's a powerful thing. My suggestion is don't waste your precious time and energy worrying and avoiding conversations. Once you acquire a few skills, you actually, once you know what you're doing, you'll get confident and you will be competent and it'll work. And you can actually have fun. And the thing is that we're talking about planning to have a conversation right now, but what happens is once you get this stuff, it doesn't matter if you get surprised, because you start to do these things automatically and you keep yourself out of trouble. If you really want to have a conversation that works, if you let the other person go first, you're going to be way down the road and you're going to be ahead of the game. Because most people, when they're listening, are in their brains thinking, comparing, arguing, wondering, and so when they're all done talking, if you give them 100% attention and the time and the emotional space to really say what they need to say, and you wait till they're done, and then you say, let me see if I've got that right. I'm hearing this or that meaning. Now they're available to hear you. Okay, thank you very much.